friend to create a relationship that was based on the intentions of the intelligence agency, not based on the best intentions of the individual. Once they would send in an artificial friend, that friend would start to manipulate some of Thomas's existing behaviors, like his loner behavior, his natural paranoia, his interest in things that were marginally crazy, like bomb making and violence. And they would find a way to validate and encourage his own natural tendencies towards behaviors that were useful to the intelligence organization.
The Heritage Foundation did an investigation and they found that a cell phone that could be traced to the FBI or near an FBI building visited Tom Crooks at the senior care facility. And this is where the conspiracy lies, that an inside government agent was helping him to carry this out.
I take it you're Mike?
I am Mike.
Okay. One of the things I think is most interesting is your work. The Heritage Foundation came out with something that they traced a phone to Thomas Crooks that may have visited his place of work. Tell me more about that.
We essentially dropped geofences on known locations that Crooks had visited, to include his home, place of work, other things that had been publicly reported and confirmed. Located about 9 devices that we, popped in multiple places. The phone that pinged in the known locations of, his home or work, we then traced to a location in Washington, D.C. It pinged there 17 times. These tools are available for investigative purposes, and the FBI and Secret Service have not been forthcoming with any new information about the assassination plot.
So what we're talking about here is known as close associations. Is it a cell phone to cell phone connection? Meaning, did one phone call the other phone? If so, was it a two-way transaction? Was it a one-way transaction? Meaning, was it just an inbound call? Was it an outbound call? Did the calls actually connect? Were there multiple calls? Or is it just what's known as a geolocation association? Meaning the phone was in the same geolocation as another phone. If he worked at a nursing care facility and the FBI officer had, or if it was an FBI officer at all, it could have also been an FBI accountant, it could have been an FBI informant, it could have been an FBI bureaucrat. Were they at the same nursing facility just visiting their mom or their dad or their aunt or their uncle? And they just happened to be geospatially or geolocated at the same location. That's the problem with organizations like the Heritage Foundation. When they actually go to do the investigation, they don't look at all the different possibilities that could help explain why there's an association between the two phones.
That they're going to have to start pulling all the data from the towers, and they're going to have to identify all of the phones that were there. They're going to have to look back in time to pull the data from around whatever cell coverage was at his home, because if you look at where his home is compared to where the site is, they're not close to each other and they would not be the same cell towers.
Another suspicious detail is that he happened to train at a gun range where FBI guys were known to train, and that's where some people speculate that if a connection was made there.
In this rural part of Pennsylvania where he's from, there's not a lot of options for where you might be able to train. When you combine the fact that an FBI cell phone was geolocated close to Thomas Crook at his workplace, and then you also consider the fact that an FBI officer or FBI presence was known to train at the same gun range, was there some sort of existing relationship between him and some FBI associate? Or was FBI covertly surveilling Crooks and seeking and putting themselves in a location where they were following him to his workplace and or following him to the gun range? Or was Crooks himself following known FBI agents?
Law enforcement sometimes uses private ranges or public ranges that are open to the public. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily in conspiracy with an individual at that range.
Last two were pop-up, double tap. That's the guy from, I think, inside. That's your second shooter that they took out from inside, I believe.
There may be a second shooter additional to Thomas Crook. Do you have any insights on that?
We have eyewitness accounts that there were 8 shells besides Crook's body.